The eThekwini Municipality says it's assessing the extent of the damage caused after a tornado tore through Inanda and Dube yesterday. Several homes were destroyed, leaving scores of people stranded. The tornado left a trail of destruction in various parts of the metro. Let's get you an update on this Wednesday morning. The KZN Cogta spokesperson, Nonala Ndlovu, joins us, and you're joining us from your car, Nonala, because it is such a fluid situation in your province this morning. What can you tell us about, what the first port of call for disaster management teams are this morning?
Good morning. I can report that the disaster management teams did work through the night. The rough estimates that we are getting at the moment is that about 50 houses were destroyed last night. Obviously, we know now that we did have a tornado. We have had a report of one person missing at this stage. There's no confirmation of whether that person has died or not. We are going onto the ground with the political leadership as we speak, just to see how extensive the damage is. The people that were stranded last night were accommodated in very temporary shelters. By this morning, the Department of Human Settlements is looking to find quick solutions to their issues. The preliminary reports indicate that it's the roofs that were blown away, but the integrity of the structures was not necessarily compromised. So what's going to be needed is to get those people material to replace their roofs so that they can move back to their homes as soon as possible.
It's the latest adverse weather event in a string of really bad weather events in KwaZulu-Natal, Nonala. Your province has been struggling to pick up the pieces since the flooding of last year, and there have been several other events like that since then. How difficult is it now for disaster management teams to do the work that needs to be done in a context when more adverse weather is predicted for the coming days as well?
It is quite difficult. It's becoming more and more unpredictable. No one could have ever foreseen the extent of the damage that happened yesterday. All that we knew was that we're going to get heavy rainfalls, and nobody expected that tornado to accompany that rainfall. So it is quite difficult, but the teams are trying their best under the circumstances. And we also continuing to urge communities to remain quite vigilant and do as much as they can to ensure that at all times they remain safe and they make sure that their belongings are safe. But that's as far as mostly the rain goes, and we urging people to move away from the floodplains and areas that are vulnerable. But as far as the tornado goes, there's very little preparation that you can do and preparedness that you can be. So, yeah, the disaster management teams are doing the best they can under the circumstances.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the SA Weather Service says it's still investigating this weather event that happened yesterday. We're calling it a tornado. Are we at a stage now, Nonala, where we are possibly advising evacuations, particularly for those areas that are on floodplains?
Well, from what I can observe this morning, the rain has subsided. But as always, when there is heavy rainfall, we do advise people to move from the areas that are on the floodplains, and we are generally advising people to stop actually settling on floodplains. Especially now that when it rains, the rivers really, they burst their banks very quickly and without warning. We are saying that as much as possible, people should really relocate from those areas that remain vulnerable so that they can remain safe. And we are advising that as soon as we start receiving rain, people should be on the lookout so that as soon as they see that the situation is deteriorating, they can make a quick call and move to safer ground.
Yeah. And does that movement to safer ground come with government assistance? Will government be providing an alternative residence for people who will be impacted?
We are trying to provide alternative accommodation for people that do not have any alternative accommodation. Government obviously does have a moral responsibility to try and assist those that have been impacted.
I imagine that for the people who are being housed in community halls as a result of the weather yesterday, Nonala, that there will be a call now for contributions from various institutions for the needs that will now, result from people having to have moved at such short notice to community halls. Is that a call that the government will be making as well to aid organizations?
Well, we will. I'm sure we will be making that call, but we haven't made it yet. But also, we are trying as much as possible not to have mass care centers like in the form of community halls. We're trying to move people to temporary accommodation because we know how the situation in community halls becomes unbearable and it can deteriorate very quickly. So we're trying to move people to temporary accommodation, and we are trying to speed up the restoration of their houses so that we don't have people staying in centers for quite a long time.
Nonala Ndlovu, let me thank you for your time this morning. She speaks for the KZN Cogta department. An update for you from that department this morning on the latest issues involved in that tornado that ripped through parts of Inanda and Dube yesterday. We're told several people have been injured, homes destroyed. There is still one person missing. So we're still waiting for confirmation about the whereabouts of that person.